Let's talk about the essentials that an executive should know about the Piedmont region in Italy. When we talk about essentials, we mean, among other things, four things really. One, what are the grapes in a given region? What grapes are associated with that region? Two, what are the flavors and the aromas that are typical for a glass of wine from that region? Thirdly, how do I pair those wines with food? And then fourthly, what are the bottles that are iconic, the bottles that I should recognize on the menu from a given region? Now, when we take Piedmont, there are certain essentials that are Piedmont specific, and those are the Barolo and Barbaresco wines. All right, very age-worthy, very noble wines made from the Nebbiolo grape. And I think what's also important to remember is that what's usually associated with these wines in terms of aroma is specifically tar and roses. So I would think age-worthy, really big, long-aging Barolos, Barbaresco as well, but Barolo in particular, and tar and roses being the characteristic that people identify with these wines. Geographically, the Piedmont region is in the northern part of Italy and close to the French border. And we won't focus on a lot of grapes, we'll really just focus on one grape from that region, and that is the Nebbiolo grape. So this is the grape that makes the Barolo wines that I mentioned, as well as the Barbaresco wines, and it's the grape that has that tar and roses character to it. So Nebbiolo grape, very noble grape, very important grape, associated with the Piedmont region. So when you think Piedmont, think Nebbiolo. So what would you expect in the glass? So I mentioned tar and roses. Also think dark chocolate, think truffles and earth. Here, certainly think high tannin. This is a wine that if it hasn't aged for about 10 years in the bottle, then it's probably too young to drink. Or let's put it this way, it would be a shame to drink it. It won't be as open as it will be later. It will later form more layers of complexity, but it will have a very big tannic mouth-drying effect because it's a bit too young for that type of wine. What's interesting about Nebbiolo is that despite having that high tannin level, it doesn't have high color, or let's say dark color, like you would associate with many of the more tannic reds, like a Cabernet or some of these other wines where you would think about higher tannin levels. So it's a bit lighter color, but very robust tannin and very long aging. So what would you pair that with? Well, here, think big. So you would want meats, braised beef, long-cooked, slow-cooked stews. Think rich sauces. It could be a rich risotto or a pasta. So things that are able to stand up to a wine that has that tannin level and is robust in the way that Nebbiolo grape makes wine. So Barolo wines, Barbaresco wines. Bottles to know. Very simply, look for the name Barolo on the label, or look for the name Barbaresco. For the most robust versions, look for Barolo. The Canubi vineyards in particular are areas or vineyards where Barolo is especially known from this region. So things to remember, and it's not a lot. I'd focus in on Piedmont being the home of Barolo. If you want extra credit, remember that Barbaresco is a slightly softer, perhaps more elegant version of Barolo. Barolo are very big, age-worthy, and in fact, age-requiring wines. If they're less than 10 years, they're probably too young, and the characteristic to pick out, the identifying characteristic, is this tar and roses character that people often detect on the nose of the wine.